Hi, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever it is you're joining from. Thank you so much for coming to this webinar today. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but if you can, please can you put something in the comments, maybe an emoji, a yeah, a yay, a hi, so that I know that we can hear and then we can start. Hello, Japa gang. Somebody say Japa gang. Yes, so okay, so we have a lot to do today, so I'm not going to waste any time. I'm just going to start right away. So the first thing I'm going to do is to give my presentation. It's a detailed one, so it will take at least maybe 30 to 40 minutes. And then we're going to have a chance to ask questions. So there are lots of people. I can see Sharon joining from Kenya. There's Ambrose joining from Lagos, Nigeria. Martha is from Kenya. Lots of people from Lagos. You can hear me loud and clear. Amazing. Today's a great day. We have great weather here in Southern Ontario in Canada. It's warm, it's quite warm, and my fan is on, so you know it's warm today. Okay, so I implore you to please listen while I go through the presentation, because a lot of questions that you have will already be answered. And I mean, it's not effective if you're not asking questions that are already answered in the chat. That's the one thing. Have your notepads or whatever it is you want to use to write notes here. You need to subscribe to the channel for you to be able to ask a question, drop a comment, whatever. I see a lot of people in the chat who have been to these webinars before, but you're here again. I really appreciate it. Some of you come multiple times because you have questions to ask, because you want to get clarification. Some of you just want to see my face. This is amazing. So we're going to start right away. I'm going to share, and then I'm going to come back, and then we're going to have that discussion, asking questions and clarifying some things. I know some of you have seen these webinars like 1 million times, but there's always something new to learn every time we come, which is amazing and great, okay? So I can see a lot of loud and clear in the comments, a lot of I can hear you. Welcome everyone, people from Cameroon, Lagos. Kenneth is from Nigeria. We're in Nigeria. I'm supposing Lagos, we have Marcellinus Ugoji from Imo State, Kembeng from Cameroon, Uganda, Nakato from Uganda, Delta State, we have Jacob, Ekiti State, Oindamola, Port Harcourt, so many places, Kwara State. Welcome everyone, welcome. I love seeing your faces too. So let me jump on my webinar, share my screen, and then we can start. 1 second there. Okay, that just looks so good. Okay, there we go. So we're starting. So in the short amount of time that we have together, I want to do 3 very big things. There are lots of people who don't have confidence when it comes to applying for Canada visas, because they've been told that you need an agent to do that. I want to remove that myth and bring confidence where you didn't have confidence. I want to provide clarity, because there's lots of confusion concerning how to apply to Canada visa, because it's quite different from those of other countries. And I want to help you unlock your true potential to make you know that you can make your Canada dreams a reality, okay? But if nothing else, I want to ensure that you know the next steps to take, yeah? So my goal here is to help you know what to do next if your dream is to come to Canada and become a permanent resident using the study route. But like I always say, implementation is key. I see people who have attended my webinars 4 or 5 times and they've not taken any step. They probably have their own reason, but I don't want you to cling hopelessly to the same problem that you came here with 2 to 3 months, 5 to 6 months down the road. I want you to be able to take action on what you're going to hear today. So do we have a deal? Before I go on, I want to be sure that we have a deal and that you're going to implement what you're going to learn today. So put it in the chat if we have a deal. Okay, I see so many people saying we do have a deal. I'm going to implement, go ahead. Fine, I'm going to do that. So today we're going to be talking about study in Canada, a simple, no hassle route to Canada permanent residence in 2023. And the reason we're talking about this is because a lot of people who come to Canada to study don't want to return to their countries. Of course, there are a few people who do want to return to their countries, but most of us want to return to our countries. We want to stay here. We want to become permanent residents and we want to become citizens. We want our children to have their own children here. And we want to also maintain our citizenship in Nigeria. Yeah, we want to have dual citizenship. So I want to show you how you can do that. Okay. But before we go on, I want to do a disclaimer. This information that I'm giving is of a general nature. It's for education and information purposes only. Please don't use this as a substitute for professional advice, and I do not guarantee any outcomes, okay? So how did I come to be giving this webinar today? How did I even find myself in Canada, being able to help other people who have the dream of coming to Canada? And I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story tonight. I've shared my story far and wide, but since you're here, I might as well tell you, okay? So my name is Sheyoba. I live in Ontario, Southern Ontario in Canada, and I've lived here since 2018. But of course, I'm a proud Nigerian. I was in Nigeria, grew up in Nigeria and all that. And I love Nigeria because, I mean, it's a land of promise. There's so many good things about Nigeria. But unfortunately, things started going bad. Like if you're a Nigerian, you know, insecurity, our health systems were failing, ASU strike all over the place, the economy was failing. And because this was happening, a lot of people started looking to Japan. Yeah, they started looking to go to other countries to live, including myself and my family. So I started searching, yeah, how will I even get out of this country? At that point, I was looking at the US, I was looking at the UK, I was looking at Australia, anywhere just to get out of the country. So while I was searching for a way to come to Canada, I opened an Express Entry profile. And while I was in the pool, I realized that, you know what, man, for me to increase my score, I need a job. So I started looking for a job in Canada. And I met this young man who was an agent, promised heaven and earth, you know, those jobs they promised, and then made me send him money. I think he jazzed me because I sent him money like twice before I realized that, oh, well, nothing is coming from this. And that's how I left that one. So while I was still in the pool, I decided to try Australia because Australia too was taking people. I had a couple of friends in Australia. They were like, "She come to Australia, do this, is possible." I started Australia. I did the PT exams, got all my references together, put in application. I even paid for express processing. Yeah. Unfortunately for me, we were refused. And that Australia permanent resident cost a lot of money. Yeah. And there are like 5 of us in my family. It's a lot of money. I did an appeal and it was refused as well. It was very devastating. You know how it is now. So we now moved to US. Okay, let's try US. US has been taking people. We went to the US embassy, put in our application, and we were refused. So of course, village people were after me, family, obviously. I decided to come back to Canada because, you know, I have a few friends in Canada who encouraged me, especially a few of the people who had schooled in the UK. I did school in the UK. I did a master's in the UK. A lot of my friends who I left the UK with, they were already in Canada. So I decided to try the study route again. And that is how I eventually got my study visa. I got admission into Brock University, and that's my admission letter on the right. I'm just showing you so that you know it's real. I went through this. I got a funding of, and by the way, before I got my Canada visa approved, I was refused a Canada study visa the first time. Yeah, I put in an application in 2016 or 2017. That 2 months, it came back refused. I cried there. Oh my goodness, I cried like my eyes will burst because it was devastating. I put in a lot of work, but after a while, I realized that I didn't know what I thought I knew. So I went to know what I didn't know that I didn't know. And then I became more proficient. And that is why I was confident enough to go the second time to get my Canada study visa approved, because we really wanted Canada. You know how it is when you know that you come to this country, you're not struggling with how to stay in the country after studies. They are not chasing you out of the country. They are actually encouraging you to stay. That's what Canada does. They have lots of attractions, lots of things to make international students stay back. So I got a funding for $27,000, which is a lot of money, to fund my studies, because I did a research program. And on the left, you can see my study permit, which also gave me eligibility to work in Canada while I studied. Like I said, I was in Brock University. I was an international student ambassador. So I represented Nigeria for the school. I was the face of Nigeria at Brock for 2019-2020 while I was there. And that is a profile of me. I did a Master of Sustainability. And in the middle there is my certificate when I eventually graduated. I graduated with distinction, by the way, because I worked very hard. So by the time I got to Canada, having been through all I had been through, the refusals, the tears, the pain, the loss of money, the scamming, I came here and I knew that something great had happened for me. Yeah. I had been able to break a ceiling, a glass ceiling that other people that I knew that were back home were struggling with. And trust me, immediately I landed in this country. 2 days later, I was calling people. Hey, yo, please do this, come to this place. This is what you need to do. Susan, do this. I was calling people, telling them what to do, because I knew that they wanted to come to Canada. A lot of people who commiserated with me when I was coming, they were happy. And they were like, man, I wish this could happen for us too. So I decided to offer my help. I spent time explaining the entire process to friends over the phone. You know how it is now. Tell them this is what to do. This is what to do. I would write little reports for them. I would review their SOPs, explain for that. Sometimes I would call on the phone. I was doing this free of charge. I was even calling people on my own. You know, they were not paying me for it. It was free. And then I started getting testimonials. People started getting offers to schools, offers to universities. Some people who thought that they couldn't do their visa applications by themselves started doing it. And mind you, I did everything on my own by the time I was trying to come to Canada. I studied, I did my research. I even paid some lawyers, immigration lawyers in Canada, lots of money at the time just to get tidbits, to get strategies, to get help, to help me to apply by myself, because I didn't want to put my chances in the hands of any other person. I wanted to do it myself. So when I started getting these testimonials, I knew that, you know, there's something here, because people are being helped. Yeah. And these were people that I knew. I wasn't helping people that I didn't know. It was just my friends. So imagine how many more people I could help if I put this into a step-by-step system that anybody anywhere can follow and be successful to get admission and visa to Canada. I thought of this, I shared with my spouse, and he said, it's an amazing idea. Go for it. And I did. I went for it. And that's what I want to show you today, that step-by-step process. Of course, I've refined it over the years. This is not exactly how it started, but this is a process that so many people have used. So many people who didn't have confidence before. I'm telling you, so many people thought that this Canada thing, they can't do it by themselves, including myself. But these people are using this system, and they're able to come to Canada, process everything by themselves with guidance from us. And I started sharing the system with people, and of course I put it up and I started selling it, and people started sharing testimonials. The testimonials used to trickle in, but now testimonials come in every single week. If it's not admission, it's funding. If it's not funding, it's loan. If it's not loan, it's visa. Visas for people alone, visas for people and their families. It hits us every single week, okay? I kid you not. So we have a lot of testimonials, but I'm going to share those of two people. This is Timothy Johnson. Timothy Johnson relocated in December of 2022. He did it all by himself. He would call and ask questions. He would send his SOP, he would say review for me. And we did all of that. And he called me, he was in Toronto airport right here. He sent us this video from Toronto. He said, I would advise anyone that wants to come to Canada to talk to Shay. She's the best at what she does. And this is Jackson. Jackson came last year. And by the time Jackson got the Canada JAPA system, at that time, it was just 25,000 naira. He had already planned to pay an agent $3,000 to help him process his visa. before he came across my system. And that was a game changer for him. Timothy applied for his wife to come to Canada to do an exam. She was approved using the system. He applied, I said Timothy, no, Jackson applied for himself. He came to Canada to study, and his family has now joined him in Canada. So his entire family, his wife, his 2 kids, and himself are in Canada today, thanks to this Canada JAPA system that I want to share with you. So do you want results like this? And would you like to know exactly how these people did it? I know that there's so many JAPA people out there selling all sorts or promising all sorts. There's so many, it can be confusing. Some people don't know who to trust. Some people don't know who is a scam. I get it, yeah? But these are people who use a system that I'm about to share with you. They were not scammed. They did not spend millions, yeah? They did not send monies to any agent. They did it all by themselves with guidance from us, and they were able to get their visas approved. A lot of them have also applied for their families. Their families are joining them. So I want to assume that your answer is yes. Would you like to have access to that system and know about that system that these people have used to come to Canada? And it's a system, trust me, you can do it. Even though you have seen shege in the hands of agents or you've lost money, do you understand? Pick yourself up and go. Look at me. I was refused Australia, I was refused US, was refused Canada. These 3 big countries, I was on the floor. I remember when I used to cry, when everybody has gone to work, I'll be alone. I will weep like this. I will weep to God and ask for mercy. To do. I wasn't getting younger. And you know how Canada is with age at that time. It's getting younger. And I didn't see a way out. I'm telling you, it was a very bitter time. And then plus all the monies that have gone down the drain. It was painful. So I completely get it. And I can completely understand how some of us feel when we hear all the things. We are like, scam, they don't come again. But trust me, this one is not a scam. And this one is not, they don't come again. So if this is sounding too good to be true, and you're wondering, is this something you can do? It's a valid concern, like what I said before, because you're really wanting to know is this another scam? Is this another person just talking a lot and who give us anything? And you're wondering if you can finally get the solution you've been looking for all this time. Yeah, and if you've met someone who is actually authentic and intends to help people, because trust me, there are a lot of people out there, their intention is not to help. So they don't even know how to help. They just have sweet mouths. Yeah. So the truth is, I believe that you can do this. And as we go through the presentation today, I'm going to show you what to do. And I want you to see yourself as being able to do this. I'm going to show you this unique system that works for all different people from all different backgrounds, bachelor's, master's, PhD. It has helped all sorts of people. And each and every one of them, had their unique set of challenges that they brought to the table, yeah? But they were able to scale through. So just look as we go on, just think that I can do it, have the I can do spirit, I can do mindset as we go through this. Take away all those scams, the shege you have seen, you have suffered, just remove it from your mind and have a clean mindset as we go through this, yeah? So, but the system I'm going to share with you today has a caveat. And I know some of you have heard about this system. It may not work for everyone. It's the truth. Not everybody. There are some people who contact me. I'm like, no, sorry, this system won't work for you. I don't just want everybody to take it. I want only the people that actually need it. So it only works for people who are go-getters. People who don't tire. You understand? They don't tire and they are ready to pursue their dreams, but people that have a strong why. Now, that why is very important because it's your why that will drive you. For example, after being denied Australia, Canada, US, another person, I would have given up, right? I would have, because I did give up, but I did pick myself up again, yeah? Sometimes your spouse might not be supporting. Sometimes you might be the spouse that's not supporting. But if you have a strong why, like my children, I'm like, man, I can't leave these children in this country. I can't. So that was my strong why. That was what's pushing me. And I had friends who were here who were telling me how wonderful it was. Yeah. And I wanted that experience for myself and my family. So that was my why. You need to have your own why. But it's your own why that will push you. It's your why that will make you to stand up after a refusal. A refusal is very painful. You can cry. Some people don't even recover from it. But if you have a strong why, you're going to recover and you're going to go on. So what is your why? I want you to think about it, yeah? if you have out it and you have a why, put in the comment that I know my why. You don't have to put what your why is. Your why is personal to you, but you can put in the comment that I know my why and I will not give up on my why. Okay, do that. And think about how your life will be different if you achieved your why. Tell you, when I landed in this country, it was like a burden had been lifted off my shoulders. I felt so relieved because I don't suffer just that. So it was like a burden was lifted. I was like, God, finally, you understand. So that why is going to push you. So I want to share something that has changed my life and that of a lot of other people. Some people say, what's the big deal anyway? Be a big deal, but like I said, it depends on your why. I want to show you how you can come to Canada to study, get a prestigious Canadian degree or a diploma. It's a prestigious degree you're getting. And how on top of that, you can become a Canada permanent resident after your studies. I'm going to provide you with a roadmap, that will show you how to achieve all of the above. I'm going to show you one major mistake that you should avoid on this journey. Now, before we dive in, I want to say why I'm recommending the study route. Now, there are other routes to come to Canada if you're outside of Canada, if you're a foreigner. If you're in Canada, as a student, there's so much more routes for you, Now, this, as far as I'm concerned, is the easiest route that has the highest admission rates to Canada. Like there's, I don't have the figures, but there's lots of international students in Canada, You do not need the IELTS, especially if you're from an English-speaking country, which most of us are, and there are no age restrictions, If you're doing the express entry or the PNP, there are certain age you get to, you will not get any scores. But whether you're 60 and you have a reason to come to Canada, you want to expand your business, you want to grow your career, you can get your visas approved. And we have people in their 50s who have had their visa. People there's a lady recently, that her children are here. She came to do Omugwo, went back, applied for study visa, and she was granted. You can imagine that. She did it all by herself. She and her husband just called her, well, actually, see, we want to do this because he was my boss before. So I can't say no. I say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And I did everything for them, and she's here. So your family can also join you in Canada. Your spouse gets an open work permit, meaning your spouse can work anywhere in Canada. They don't even have to work in the city where you're schooling. And your children, as long as they are 18 and below, and they are in high school or elementary school, will go to school for free. You don't have to be paying all those school fees you are paying to Marathon Nigeria, paying 500,000, okay? It's a sure route to permanent residence because you get the Canadian education, you get work experience, because you get a post-graduation work permit, you're allowed to work in Canada after studies, you gain that work experience, and that enables you to be able to apply for the Canadian experience class, for the PNP, or for so many other permanent residence routes that are open to you as an international student that would not have been opened to you if you were not in Canada and have not studied in Canada. Lots of provinces are attracting their students to themselves, and they're opening up routes for these students to easily transit into permanent residence. Right? Like I said before, you can do this all by yourself. All of the people whose testimonials I have shared with you so far have done it without an agent. They've just done it with the guidance that we've provided. They are dogged people. They've done it using the samples that we have. They've done it using our support system, and they've been able to do it. And you can start right away. The good thing about Canada is that there's admission all the year round, for something or the other, so you can start right away. So you're asking, is there a roadmap? What is the process? It's a simple 5-step process. And I'm going to share with you in a bit, but there's no need to complicate it. This is just the process. Choose a school and a program, apply to the school, get your letter of admission and apply for a study visa, arrive Canada and get your study permit, which of course permits you to also work, except you're going to a school that doesn't provide PGWP, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then you graduate and apply for permanent residence. That's just the process. Of course, in these 5 steps, there are nuances, but this is just the 5 steps that you need to keep in mind. And these are just the 5 things that I need to do. Don't complicate it. Don't think about step number 3 when you're still in step number 1. You overwhelm yourself. You're worrying about step number 5. Still lots of people worrying about number 5. Yeah, number 1, it's number 5 alone for now. Worry about number 1, and then you move to number 2. That is how it works. I'm telling you, that's how I did it. I didn't think about the next thing. I just thought about what am I doing next? And that's what I implore you to do. So choose a school and a program. So you need a school and a program to study in Canada. You actually need to get a designated learning institute. Now, that's a DLI. Now, a lot of people are confused in terms of, oh, what if it's not a DLI? You have to get a DLI. Yeah. And then on top of the DLI, you have to get a DLI that actually gives post-graduation work permits. It's surprising to some people that not all DLIs give post-graduation work permits. So which means if you go to a DLI and it's not eligible for PGWP, you cannot work in Canada after your studies. You have to return back home or use any of the other not so easy routes that that you would have been available to you if you went to a DLI with a PGWP. So look at the admission requirements. A lot of people who apply and they did not look at the requirements. It's in the tire me. School said they only take 2-1. You did not check. You apply with your 2-2 and you are rejected and you are crying, saying my visa, I wasn't given admission because you didn't meet the requirements. So check. Yeah. It can be confusing if you don't know what to do, if you don't know where to check, or if you don't even know the schools or where to find the schools. Now that's easy because I will show you how you can get access to tools that can help you to find a school and a program. So this is number one. This is the only thing you need to worry about in the first step. Once you have gotten a school, you've chosen a school, you've chosen a program, you qualify for it, that's when you move to number two, you start applying to the school. Now, there are some schools that won't take a study gap of more than 5 years, but there are lots of schools that will take study gaps of 5 years, yeah? Look at the IELTS requirements of the school, complete your application online, pay the required fees, because in Canada, most of the schools, 99%, I dare say, take application fees, provide the required documents, and then you start waiting, yeah? So it depends on the program you're applying. They can get back to you in what, 8 weeks to several months, it depends. Now, by the time the school gets back to you, you get your letter of admission. You make sure it's not unconditional. It's not a conditional, rather it's an unconditional. If there are conditions, you fulfill them so that you get an unconditional letter. And then you start thinking about, how do I apply for visa now? Because this is where the rubber meets the road, yeah? This is where the rubber meets the road. You need a good study plan, yeah? Because trust me, you've gone through the hurdle of the school has given you admission. You also now need to go through the hurdle of the visa officers, which who have made themselves also people who review your eligibility for the program you're going to, and then they also review your eligibility for the visa that you're applying to, yeah? So they do those two. Some people say waiting consign them. Well, that is their job. So you need to get all your documents that you need, and then you need a good study plan. That study plan, I call it the powerhouse of your application, because without a good SOP, statement of purpose, or LOE, letter of explanation, your visa might be refused, even though you do have, or you think you do have all the documents, yeah? So you need to be very careful in this place. This could be problematic if you don't have proper guidance. And once you have had your visa refused, you have an uphill task, because the next time you're applying, you're trying to answer to the refuser and then apply again. So you need to be very careful. This is where our system shines, yeah? This is where our system does the best. This is where our system is better than others, because we have been through this process over and over. We've helped people who still had no hope, people who think they can't do it, have been able to do it just by using the system, and they are able to scale through this hurdle. This scares a lot of people. A lot of people are scared. People can't sleep when they're applying for visa, and I get it. It happened to me, but that is the third step. And the fourth step is that, of course, your visa is approved. Based on the processing time, you get your study permit at the point of entry. So what you're given when you do apply is a visa that allows you to travel to Canada. But trust me, you have another hurdle to cross when you get to the point of entry, because the immigration officer there has the power to turn you back. Now, there are several reasons why they can turn you back, and that's not what I'm talking about here. But trust me, they have the power to turn you back if they feel that you're not eligible. They also have the power not to give you the work permit. Yeah, there's so many reasons why they might not be able to give you a work permit at the point of entry, even though you deserve it and it's part of your study. But so that is another thing that we teach. You need to be careful and have everything on hand. At the point of entry, you're going to get your work permit, and they're going to give you a study permit. So the study permit actually comes with that work permit, and you can work 20 hours a week in Canada. as a student, but there is a temporary policy in place where you can work 40 hours, but that's just temporary. But normally as a student, you can work 20 hours and that can help you to pay your bills, yeah? You can pay house rent, you can buy food, you can buy clothes, blah, blah. You get your SIN, without which you can't work. You get your bank account, you get accommodation, and you start studying. This is the point at which you can apply for your family. If they didn't come with you before, your family can join you. And then you get a post-graduation work permit after you graduate, which qualifies you to work in Canada and then qualifies you to get that work experience that can help you to apply for the Canadian Experience Class. You can apply for the Federal Skilled Worker Program or other programs, yeah? And then after the number of years, if you've been in Canada 3 years out of 5 years in the last 5 years, you can then apply for citizenship. You get that red passport. That passport gives you entry into 186 countries in the world. You don't need visa. You don't need visa to go to the US. You don't need visa to go to several other countries when you get that passport. And that is exciting. It's exciting. So SIN is the number. PO is point of entry. SIN is your something insurance number. And that's the number with which it's connected to your taxes and all that. Your employer will ask you for your SIN. If you don't have it, employer might not employ you. So like I said, that's the 5 steps. And I've put a lot of information there. These are lots of things that people won't share with you because they feel it's their information, you have to pay for it. But then this is the information that you're going to need. And if you listened very well, there were tidbits there. I told you things, mistakes that you mustn't make, things that you must avoid, and things that you must do, okay? Now, on this webinar so far, I've given you the exact Study in Canada formula that I've spent years perfecting. Some people might say, but this is on YouTube. Trust me, nobody's going to give you this on YouTube the way I've given you here. You're going to pick things here and there, and a lot of people get confused. That's why people come and say, Shay, I heard this, I heard this. I'm like, hearing, you just confuse yourself. So you now know how to apply to schools in Canada and what to look out for. You know, certain tricks to practically help you to be successful on this journey. All this and much more I've been able to share in this limited time. I know we don't have a lot of time. I don't want to spend all the time talking. That's why I'm kind of rushing, yeah, so that we can get to the point where we start talking, yeah. So that's all you need. So do you feel more confident about the Study in Canada route? I know some of you have attended this webinar before, some of you already have the system, but if you haven't been here before, do you feel more confident about the Study in Canada route? If you do, can you put a yes in the chat? Are you happy that you came to this webinar today and that you have an advantage over someone who wasn't here? You must have learned, if you have learned just one thing, if you had one aha moment, if you now know what POE means, point of entry, or you now know that the visa process is very important in this journey, please just put a yes in the chat to say that, yes, I feel more confident. I am glad I came to this webinar today and I have learned something. And because of my why that is ringing in my head, I'm going to go ahead and make Canada my dream. So we all heard the news that the UK said they were going to stop students coming to the UK with their families. The UK, their head is not correct because this is like the second time they're kind of taking or putting policies that are not friendly for international students. So but Canada has nothing like that. Canada needs people. They want you to come here. So you should look at Canada. So even if you can use just a tiny fraction of what I've showed you, would you say that our time so far is well spent? So I can see lots of yeses, and I know that I've given value, and I know you've gotten value. So thank you so much for those yeses. So now the question is, knowing what you know now, would you like to know more? Would you like to learn more valuable strategies on how to finally be able to crack this relocation to Canada thing that seems like a mountain in front of you? If you'd like to know more, then please say yes. Yes without saying yes. You know, you can say, how else can you say else? You can say yay, or you can say sure, or you can put it in your language. You can put it in your language, yes in your language, yes in Yoruba, yes in Igbo, or whatever. Okay, great. So here's one thing I know about you. I know that you want to come to Canada and you want to come as soon as possible. There are some people that don't want to waste time. You don't want to waste time. You don't want to make any mistakes. You don't want to waste money. And you want guidance from someone who can help you to do this. You want someone who can actually, who knows what they're doing and can actually help you. But sadly, even if we had like 4 hours to spend today, instead of the 35 minutes or so that I've been talking, we might not be able to, I might not be able to tell you everything that you need to know, because like I said, it's a process, yeah? It's a 5-step process. And within the 5 steps, there are mini steps, yeah? So it's a 5 broad step process, but there are mini steps. And you're not doing all the steps together. You're doing step 1 and they're moving on, yeah? So some of us are different places in that process. Some are in step 1, some are in step 3. There's some of you here applying for your visas. Well, so before doing this webinar, as it always is when I'm doing my webinars, I had 2 choices. I wanted to share as much, so I shared a bit more here, and I'm mindful of the time. Number 1 is I could share what I've shared so far, part with you, and then hope that on your own, you can make a go at it. I've had people who have contacted me to say, you know what, I follow you on YouTube or social media, and I've been able to go this far, yeah? That's how confident that I am about the materials that I share. Even the free materials, people have used my free materials. So I know that you can use that information and go and do it on your own. And if that was your only option, it would be fine, yeah? But that's not your only option. There's the second option where I could take a more active role. You would allow me to go deeper with you. So those 5 steps, to actually be able to break them down and be sure that you are able to get success. That would make things different, yeah? So you don't have just the first choice, you have a second choice. So would you like the first choice or would you like the second choice? Because so many people I know are choosing the second choice. So is it first choice or is it second choice? Let me know in the comments so I know which one I'm sharing. Is it first choice or second choice? So we're going to have a Q&A. So a lot of you are already putting questions in the chat. You're not going to finish listening to me now. Why are you not putting questions in the chat? So let's listen. I'm here for you. At least I have an hour or so, and then we can take questions. So if you want the second choice and you like what I've shared so far, then you will like what I've got to share next. Now, what I want to say, if you want it badly, you'll be ready to invest in it. I know what I'm saying. I'm talking from my own experience. I can't tell you how much money I spent, especially for that Australia that we did twice. It was a lot of money. And then the Canada visa the first time, Canada visa refusal the second, it was emotional pain, it was financial pain. But because I wanted it bad enough, because my why was crazy in my mind, I was ready to invest and I did invest. So it is with great pleasure for those of you who have chosen choice 2 that I introduce to you a simple step-by-step guide to become a Canada permanent resident by studying in Canada. Now, this is not the everyday step-by-step guide that you see there. This is not a book. This is an actual program, and I'm going to show you all the things that you get with it, yeah? It makes the Canada study process easier than you ever thought possible. So it's a comprehensive, detailed step-by-step. It's combination of video and PDF trainings. We have FAQs in there. It's not a static program. It's a program that is continually updated, especially when there's new information. And these are practical steps that you can follow so that you don't get confused. And with each of these steps, I've put a testimonial on the right of somebody who got admission. To God be all the glory. This is someone who could not do it before, but you can see that they are saying, God bless you for your tutorship. She was able to do this by herself, just using the step-by-step guide that we provide. And then another headache people have is, how can I find the schools and the program to apply to? Trust me, there are over 100 schools in Canada, and just knowing where to go, what province do I choose, can make you to tear your head to pieces. Someone like me, when I was applying, I went to all the provinces, every single school in Canada. Trust me, I touched on them. But we're going to give you tools and guidance for you to choose the right program. This is part of the JAPA system. And also scholarships, funding, and loan. I showed you my admission letter where I got a funding of over $27,000. There is a testimonial on the right of the screen of someone who got scholarship for herself and also her brother as well. And the letter is there for you to peruse. One is very important, whether you're going to the UK, Canada, relocating. If you're relocating, you need money to relocate because you're coming to a new country, right? You have to get accommodation, you have to settle down, you have to pay your tuition. It's important to plan. So that's why I say this is a process. It's a project, yeah. However, we can show you how to search for scholarships and funding. Canada is a bit different in the way they offer scholarships and funding. It's offered by the school, funding is offered by the professor who has the project. So we show you all that and how you can get access to long-term international study loans. And then that study visa, remember the step 3, visa processing is so critical because you can get all the information you like, but if you don't get the visa, you will not be able to come to Canada. So we share with you the documents that you must submit, what your sponsor needs to have, how you can prove relationship with your sponsor, guidance on how to submit the best application. And we also have a module where your family can join you in Canada. You don't want to come here, your family is abroad, yeah? If you're a mother, it's painful. So you want your family with you in Canada. We show you how to do that. We have templates, yeah? Sample templates you can model. Lots of people send us their SOPs. We have like 3 or 4 amazing SOPs. I'm going to be putting more there, more winning SOPs so that you can model them. Please don't copy because that's not your story, but just model it. Let it give you an idea and get your juices flowing. It saves you from creating your own SOPs from scratch. You can model after successful ones, yeah? So I don't need to tell you that the Canada Java system works. Except you're living under a rock. You must have heard one of our testimonial or the other. It works. Even from people that are applying for the 2nd, 3rd, and even 4th time after refusal. And trust me, these people, some of them have seen Shege to the point that they don't even want to try again. But because of how they see my energy, how they read my stories, how they hear my own personal story and the stories of people who have been here, trust me, we had a recent testimonial from Leia. Leia had been refused twice. Leia, I worked with Leia so many years ago, twice, and he had spent a lot of money until he met me. And I didn't do the application for him. I just helped him review his documents and his SOP. And I told him, man, don't do this, put this, do that. And it worked. In a few months, he got his visa. He's in Canada today, and his family will be joining him soon using this same system. So I know beyond a shadow of doubt that it works. It works. So for something that works like that, how much would you price something like that? There are people who have said, because it's a certain price is not good. For me, it's not about the money, yeah? Because if I wanted to price it at what it is truly worth, I will have no issues asking you to invest 200K, yeah? Instead of collecting 200K from 4 people, I can collect 200K from 1 person. Trust me, there are people who have their money and are waiting to pay, yeah? It's the truth. But many people pay quack agents. Sometimes I don't know what the agents tell them. They pay them triple that amount, and these agents put fake documents for them, and they get banned. I have gotten like 2 people who have told me they've been banned just because they didn't know that the agent put that document. I'm wondering, how did you not know? Yeah. So even if this was 200K or higher, you'll be getting a great deal with it. But I've decided to reward those who act boldly and immediately because these are the kinds of people that I love to work with. And it's saddening to see what some of our government is doing to the country. It's really sad for us to have to bring up our children there. A lot of people who are doing this for their kids, and I get it. So I want to reward those who can sign up within the next 48 hours. Yeah, this is month end, you know, and you've known about this for a while. So those who can sign up within 48 hours, especially today, you'll be able to get full access to everything that makes up this wonderful program called the Canada Japa system, as well as any updates that we'll have. So even if the price is increased, you that got in today will still have access to the updated one. And for today, it's just 50,000. Query, like they will say in Nigeria, query is small money. This is money for even one cheap non-designer handbag. This is money that you would spend to take your family out for KFC or whatever. So it's just 50K. Now, you're getting a lot of bonuses with the Canada Japa system. Some bonuses we're still working on, some bonuses you have. So I'm always looking at What is it that people need? What is it that people are asking for? And then we're updating. Now, one thing I know people are always asking for is, how do I get accommodation? Because they're coming to a new country, you just land in the airport, where you they go? People get stressed about that, yeah? So we show you how to get accommodation, we show you how to get jobs. Like I've had a lot of people who are already here asking me, Sheyi, I find work, and I'm like, okay, do this, do that, do that. And I know a lot of other ways that you can make extra monies in Canada, and I share it with those. So with those people that are here. So how to get a job and accommodation in Canada? The 12 things that you need to start studying in Canada. Some people come to me and they're like, where do I even start? Yeah, so we've solved that problem for you. This is one of the bonuses that you get. We have databases of schools and programs. Now, there are some schools and programs that are very popular. Everybody knows them. Some certain schools, some certain colleges and universities. There are other schools that people are not applying to, but they are waiting there for you. So we've put a database of those schools and the programs that they offer. We also show you how you can easily check for schools and colleges, how you can easily check if that school has your program, that if you're not lazy and you're ready to do the work, you don't have to go to Google. We have those tools for you. And then we're the only people who provide this, trust me. We provide free basic reviews of your resume, your emails you write to your supervisors, your school SOPs, and your visa SOPs. Even though we do this once, we see people who keep sending. They review and send. We're patient with you because we know that that SOP is like a powerhouse. So we have people who we have reviewed their SOPs and they've come back to say, it was that SOP that you reviewed for us. That was the SOP I submitted, and today I have my visa. So you don't need to crack your head. We have sample SOPs, we have sample CVs, sample emails to professors. If you're looking for funding, you just use them, and then we can do free reviews for you. Just send it to our email, and then we review for you. Also provide professional services. I know that anyhow, I've talked from now till tomorrow. Some people say they are very busy. They can't do this process on their own. They're scared. There are people that are scared. They're scared on you, and they're scared, and they don't want to. They don't want to do this process on their own. And so provide professional services. That's a paid service for admission and visa. But then we also are able to answer all your questions. We provide a support system where you can ask your questions. So these are the bonuses that you get so far. In addition to the Canada JAPA system of 50,000, you get all of this. It's a limited time bonus, like I said, for those who are able to get in within the next 48 hours. And you have access to me and my team. So it's not just seeing me on Zoom, on YouTube. I am there in the emails also providing support. We have a dedicated support staff that are there. We provide, like, you send us these emails in a few hours, we'll get back to you. It's not immediate, but we do try to get back in good time. Okay, so I've gotten to this point where I need to ask you to listen. So listen up. I'm asking you to make a fully informed decision. Yeah. This product has actually helped many people to achieve their Canada relocation dreams, a lot of them in less than 1 year. So like I said, it's a project. Don't wake up today and say you want to be in Canada tomorrow. Anybody that promises you that is about to scam you. Shine your eye. It's about to scam you. So unless you are committed and serious about your success and taking action, then please do not sign up. Do not sign up. Only make a purchase if you're sure that you're going to work on it and this is what you actually want. Because I only work with people who have a success mindset and who know what they want. So if that's you, then this is right for you. How are you going to get access to the Canada JAPA system? What you need to do now is to get in contact with whoever invited you. If you are in a group, ask in the group, or if it was someone who got you here, ask the person, how am I going to get access? I'm ready to take my Canada JAPA dream to the next level. So help me. Yeah, they're going to give you a link that you would use to make the purchase. So we're not sharing any links here. So I see some people have already signed up. Even while I was talking, people had already signed up. I mean, they didn't even need to get to this point. So thank you very much for taking the next step in your dream. So we're rounding up the webinar, but as we round up, you might find yourself sitting in the maybe category. Maybe this is right for me. Maybe I just want you to give me this. Sheyi, I don't want the entire program. I just want this part. If you want one tiny part, you have to get the entire program to get that part. So maybe. And usually, when people start saying maybe, it is one of a few reasons. Number one is money. Just that even though I've said that this is chicken change, some people are still feeling that the money is a lot. Meanwhile, some people say it's too cheap. I've heard people who have said, why is it too cheap? And the reason is that it can be any price, can be 100,000, it can be 150, but that is not my goal. My goal is to help people. People helped me, so I want to help. Now, look at that chart I'm showing on the right. You can see where I put 5.4 million spent on the procedure. People are actually spending this much and getting nothing. I get this chat every day. Someone sent me a chat yesterday, 1.2 million. The agent is not picking phone again. It happens. And these are people that if you tell them to come and put 50,000, they will not want. Yeah. So when it comes to money, the truth is that if something is important to you, you would invest in it. Yeah. So money is not the problem. Yeah. It's just you being able to believe in yourself and being able to make an investment into something that you feel is going to give you what you want. But there are some of you now, money is not your problem. It really is about time. You want to know if you can make this thing work in the time that you have. But you've been here with me almost 45 minutes now. You've been listening to me. So if you can spare 45 minutes a day, the way you're able to spend here, or every other day, trust me, you can do this. There are lots of us who spend lots of time on Netflix. I catch myself when I find myself spending lots of time on Netflix. Some of us spend lots of time on social media. TikTok, Instagram, you can use that time to pursue your dream. You're not going to have to do it forever. You're going to have to sacrifice. There's someone's testimony on the right that says that the Canada JAPA system boosted my confidence and ability to apply for Canada visa without the help of an agent. Look at it, passport request, May 5th, 2022. And we have lots of testimonials like this, yeah? So this person didn't have the time or felt that they couldn't do it, but they did it. And some people are scared. Some people feel that, oh, I can't. People have told me that I can't, but trust me, you can. You need more than just information. You need tools, you need a community, you need coaching, you need me alongside with you. I can help you, and that's what I want to do. And then when it comes to fear, what if I screw up? What if it doesn't work? What if something goes wrong? What if? What if you drop down and die? What if you move out of your house and a lorry hits you? Life is like that. Life is risky. You just have to go for it, yeah? You have to go for it. There are people who are in their 50s pursuing this, and I'm like, man, these people are even giving me energy. Because someone in their 50s, you would think that they've given up. But no, we have people who are 58, 57, 53. They are chasing this thing and they are getting their visas approved. So how much more you that's probably in your 30s, 20s, 40s? This is not for people looking for work, for those of you asking. If you're looking for the link to sign up, how did you get here? Did you come here from a WhatsApp group, from an email list, from someone sent it to you? Ask that person how to get the link for you to be able to purchase. So all these people, all of these testimonials, these are a few of the testimonials. All these people thought it would not work for them. All these people were scared. All these people were actually scared, but they did the process. They got admission, they got visas, yeah? So if it's fear, confusion, the ability, time, or money that's your problem, you don't get problem. You don't really get problem. So a few questions, frequently asked questions that I get, and then we're gonna go to the chat and then look at the questions that you do have. So someone says, what if I have a 2-2, third class, NC, WAEC? The thing about Canada study is that, number one, I advise you to apply on time. Number two, no matter your level of education or grade, there's something for you. So Canada is open to international students from high school to PhD. Someone even told me there are people who are coming here for elementary school and they are international students. Yeah, their parents are bringing them here for them to go to school. So from high school, diploma, bachelor's, advanced diploma, graduate certificate, master's. So it goes all the way from high school to PhD. There's something for you. Now, how much does it cost? Remember, I said money is important. Don't ask me whether 5.5 million is enough. I don't know. How much you need depends on the school you're going to, the province you're going to, and whether you're coming with family or not. So it depends on your tuition. School application goes anywhere from $75 to 150 Canadian. Tuition goes anywhere from 10,000 to 40,000 Canadian, depending on your program. Like I said, if you're doing a master's, a PhD, You'll be paying differently from someone who is doing a diploma, for example. So it depends, yeah? So your tuition, living expenses, you're required, apart from Quebec, you're required to have 10,000 Canadian a year for your living expenses. And if you're coming with family, that's more money. You need 4,000 Canadian for the first extra person and 3,000 for any additional. You also need to pay your visa application fees, do your medicals, have money set aside for your airfare to and fro, and then have monies aside for miscellaneous. So you can add this together depending on, are you applying alone or with family, what school it is, what's your tuition, and have an idea of how much it is you need. Don't forget, you can get scholarship, you can get funding if you're coming for a research program. You can also get loans or sponsors to help you with that. So as I round up, I just wanted to tell you that to try to process Canada study visa without proper guidance on knowledge or mentorship, it actually makes it harder for you, and you will go through that emotional upheaval of riding through a refusal, and it makes it harder for you. So the No Housing Nigeria to Canada JAPA system works for all countries, yeah? And it shows you how you can become a Canada permanent resident using study. You want to be a Canada permanent resident, trust me. After studying, you want to be, there's so many benefits, I can't go into it right now. And then after some years, you can apply for citizenship. I mean, check them now, check them. I mean, it's amazing, and think that you can do that just by coming to study. Don't forget all the bonuses that you get with the Canada JAPA system. You can leave this place and do nothing. You can leave this place and do something, but trust me, a year is going to pass. So whether you do something or you do nothing, 1 year is going to pass. And by this time next year, you're going to wonder, okay, what happened to me? Where did the time go? You cannot climb a ladder with your hands in your pockets. You have to actually bring out your hand and do the work. You have to actually bring out your hand and do the investment for you to get where you want to go to. And don't forget your why. Think about it. My children, their children's children will be Canadian citizens. Think calm now. If that is your why, you want that, then, I mean, this is for you. So don't miss out on this opportunity. Like I said before, the Canada JAPA system will save you from feeling hopeless, will save you from wasting money, all in a bid to relocate. Then it will carry your IC Shaggy. That's my prayer for you. So this is an affiliate product, which means that the people who sent you here are affiliates. They can sell the product, they can give you a link, and you will purchase. It's only 50,000 today. It will increase soon, and trust me, by the time it increases, you will not be wishing you made the 50,000 deposits or investment. You will have all my contact details inside the JAPA system. You can send us emails, you can connect with me on WhatsApp, you can connect with me on social media, but you need to go get the link to purchase first. So thank you very much. I've talked for almost, my goodness, 1 hour. So I will now move over and answer your questions. So just put your questions in the chat. We're probably not going to be able to take questions by, what am I saying now? Take questions by speaking. So I'm gonna have to look through the questions. Man, I need to take a sip of water. I'm talking about like 1 hour. Okay, so let's look at your questions. So I'm going to answer general questions. If you're asking me specific questions, I will not be able to answer those. We're just answering your general questions, okay? So scholarship and grants, if I can, I'll pin up your questions, but scholarship and grants can be used as proof of funds. So if your scholarship, usually the scholarships might not be able to cover everything, you have to provide proof of funds for the part of your scholarship that's part of your scholarship that is not covered by whatever grant you have. Okay, I'm going to try and put up some of the questions. I'll be reading out the question as I'm asking them, okay? So, is the work permit JAPA route still open? Yes. Can I still apply for January 2024 programs? Yes, you can still apply for some programs, but trust me, a lot of the competitive programs for January 2024 is closed up. You can use NECO, you can use WIAC. Can I be the sole sponsor for myself to apply it? Being the sole sponsor for yourself is the best way. Do you understand? Is the best way. So if you have the monies, you have ties to your country, by all means, please, you can be the sole sponsor for yourself. So I'll just look through questions. So after getting the PR, someone is asking, if you can see that question up there, questions are showing, they're showing in the chat. So if you look at the chat, you'll see the questions that I'm pinning up. And this person says, after getting PR, what is the maximum age of children that can take along as a permanent resident? So if you're making your application to study in Canada, the maximum age of your child is 17. I wanted to say 18, but because at 18, they already are ready to go to college or university. So if you bring them here as a dependent at 17, you have to pay international student fees for them to go to university. If you're applying for permanent residence, you can add your children up to 22 years. I think it's the same for most provinces. Yeah, 22 years. Can someone who is not related to me be my sponsor? Yes, someone who is not related to you can be a sponsor. But then you have to put the reason why they are sponsoring you in your SOP in a way that a visa officer will believe. So someone is asking, now I'm going to answer this question so that it answers all the proof of fund questions. Can I run a good proof of funds with reliable commercial bank in Nigeria? I honestly don't know what that means. If you're asking if you can go and get money from a commercial bank, you can get money from anywhere you want to get money. The thing is that, is it believable? You have to explain in your SOP the source of funds. That's it. Wherever you get your funds, you have to be able to prove or to explain the source of that fund. Someone's asking me a direct question. Did you get scholarship or did you personally sponsor yourself? So I got a fully funded scholarship. I got funding for my studies, but still, despite the fact that I got funding, I also still provided money. Just I showed them that I have funds to take myself to Canada, because it's not the funding that will pay my airfare. It's not the funding that will get me accommodation to settle before the funding actually kicks in. So I did provide my own funds, proof of funds. Yeah, even though I had funding. Does the JAPA system, so if you're asking me about documents, I can't answer here. If you want to know the kind of documents or what you need to submit with your application, then you need to get the JAPA system. We explain it there. If you have been refused, okay, so these are two direct questions. If you have been refused visa before because of insufficient fund, can I apply again by paying your school fees? Yes, you can pay your school fees when you're reapplying, but you also need to address what is in your GCMS notes. You need to find out why you were refused and then address it. Okay, let me go to the questions that were asked earlier. Let me see. 1 second. If you got your visa late, I don't know what you mean, then you need to get a new admission letter. Okay, someone is asking, this is actually a good question. I'm going to put it up in the chat. Is admission application form open throughout the year in Canada? So Canada colleges have 4. Many of the colleges have 4 admission. 3 major ones. They have September, they have January, and they have in May. Most universities for masters and PhD have for September. They're open in September, so you can actually apply for September, January, or May. So no matter the time of the year, you are certain to find something. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Rhoda. Rhoda is saying the material is everything. It's 10 over 10 plus 10 minus nothing. Thank you so much, Rhoda. I agree with you. I think it's a great material too. Now let's see. Oh God, how much does it cost to do the process for a person? So if you want to know how much it's going to cost, if you're one of those who still want the process to be done for you, after you get the JAPA system, we can discuss with you how much it costs. So I can't say how much here. So if you think 50,000 is too much, or I don't know, then maybe it's not for you. You can look for a program that costs less. So someone is asking, my sister's passport is expired. My sister's passport is expired, will expire next year, December. Can she apply? Yes. So even if your passport is expiring next year, you can apply. You can always extend your study permit in Canada, and you can get a Nigerian passport in Canada. You can get any passport in Canada. We have a Nigerian embassy, and all countries have an embassy here. So you can renew your passport here and extend your study permits. So this is not for those who are looking for jobs. Someone's asking. What we're talking about is studying in Canada, and it is there in the name. It is there in this webinar, how to get permanent residence by studying in Canada. So this is for those who want to study. There's so many questions. So someone's asking, I talked about it, what are the chances of getting admission for MSc with 2-2? The chances are very slim, because a lot of the Canada universities want a second class, it's even a high second class. Sometimes even with that, it's very competitive, extremely competitive. So if you are coming with your 2-2, it might be hard. Well, you can do a pre-masters. There are some schools that offer pre-masters. You can't give the name of the schools now. I don't have it off the top of my head, but you can do a pre-masters. But getting into a master's with a 2-2, it's hard. And someone says, just talks with Omotola. I mean, are you going to be available to review the SOP? So I'm not going to review it until it's perfect. I don't know what you mean by perfect, but you have a chance to send your SOP to us for a free basic review. So we're not, it's free. So we're going to just point out what it is that you can change, and you need to go do that. Okay. Can someone who has sponsored an applicant before, so yeah, can someone who has sponsored someone who is already in Canada, look at the chat, the questions are there, and they sponsor you? Yes. If somebody has sponsored somebody before, the person did something right. So yes, they can sponsor you. So I'm not talking about types of documents. If you want to know documentation, please get the JAPA system. If you have a fully funded scholarship, this person is asking, Tohib Oladende in message. So you are asking, can I take my spouse along on a fully sponsored scholarship? I don't understand what the relationship is. Even if you don't have scholarship, you can take your spouse. Is it when you have scholarship, you can take your spouse? You will just have to provide monies to show that you can take care of your spouse while they're in Canada. That's all. Somebody's asking, is work permit route still open? I don't understand that question. I've answered before, yes. Okay, I think we're getting to do we need statement of account? Of course you do. Can I use my 23 years SSC? Can I use my 23 years? Oyinda Mola is asking, can I use my 23 years old SSC to apply for college? So there's lots of questions, follow-up questions I have for that, which you're not going to be able to answer. Number one, is it WAEC? You need WAEC or NECO. And when you say 23 years, I mean, why is it that you haven't gone to school in 23 years? So all those questions are there. So can I get funding to do postgraduate diploma in Canada? Like I said before, there's funding, there's scholarship. You can get scholarship for your PGD, but you cannot get funding. Funding is only open for masters and PhD, and that are doing research, okay? So it's not for everybody. Can one apply while living outside their home country? So Canada applications, I'm going to pin this up as well. Canada applications are done online, okay? So you don't have to walk into a VFS office, you can do it online. So even if you're outside the country, so long as you're there legally, yes, you can do your visa application from outside the country, because you will be asked for your country of residence and your country of nationality. I'm not going to answer any questions that have to do with how much, because you need to go back and look at the replay. We talked about how much. What is the process of applying for PR route? So like I told you before, stop worrying about applying for permanent residence after your study. You need to concentrate on getting to Canada first. But if you're asking about other PR routes, we're talking about studies today. Okay, so I'm not answering any question that has nothing to do with studying. Oh, this is a great question. Someone says, and you can check out the question in the chat. Can I take my parents as dependent relatives? Maybe my mom. Unfortunately, you cannot take your mother or your father or your sister or your brother. You can only apply with your spouse, your common law partner, your children, stepchildren. Just it has to be spouse and children. You cannot apply with your mom or your sister or your brother, except you are married to them. Okay. So someone's asking if a one-year diploma course is enough to get permanent residence. So in the JAPA system, we have a module where we talk about how you can transit to permanent residence using a one-year study. So yes, a lot of people that are permanent residents here did a one-year study. So it is possible. Someone is asking me to predict. You know, the funny thing is that I can't predict. I cannot predict Akonde Oluwaseun. Can first-time applicants apply through study route with my wife down to Canada? And will it be approved as a first-timer? So we have so many first-timers. A lot of the testimonials that are shared here are from people who are first-timers and they're able to come with their spouse. So whether you will get it, I can't predict. But I know that there are others who have gotten it. So if they can, you can. I already have a PhD. Love Day is asking, I'm pinning this up in the chat. You can check it out in the chat. I already have a PhD. Is doing another PhD allowed? Or masters? Yeah. So we do have PhD students in the Canada JAPA system who have come here to do another PhD. We also have PhD students who have come here to do a related masters as well. So yes, you can do any of that. So if you've applied to Canada before, I applied to Canada like 15 years ago. I'm pinning this up with my company documents. I was refused. Even if you were applied before, you can still come through school. Yeah, doesn't matter. You can still apply for a study visa. How can I get a sponsor? You can get a sponsor by getting a sponsor. So you have to get a relative of yours or somebody that is ready to sponsor you. So someone said, and this is wrong information, this kind of thing I don't like. It's twisting my words. Someone says, so those of us with 2-2 don't have chances. What other JAPA options do we have? So you didn't listen to me very well. If you have 2-2, you can apply to a graduate certificate, to a graduate, postgraduate diploma. You just can apply for a master's or a PhD, yeah? So don't say you don't have chances. I didn't say that, okay? Maybe I did not say that. So you can apply, okay? But you're just going to apply for what your 2-2 qualifies you for. So pre-master's program, if they have funding, I don't know, but not likely, because it's just, you're not doing the real master's, you're just doing the pre-master's. So after a master's degree in Nigeria, can I go for? So can I change school? A lot of people ask this question. I don't know why they're trying to. So if you look at the chat, you will see the question. Durojaye is asking, can I change school immediately I get to Canada without attending the school through which I got visa? So that's a complicated discussion. So if you're coming to Canada and you were already registered in a school, you have to attend that school until you attend your new school. There can be no break. You don't want to break it, yeah? So you have to do one until you get to the next one. That's how it works. So that's why you have to be very careful and be sure that you're coming for what you actually want. It's a complicated discussion. Can HND with PGD go for a master's in Canada? No. So masters in Canada, what they need is a 4-year bachelor's degree, yeah? So you cannot use a master's to apply for a master's, and you cannot use a HND or a PGD to apply for a master's. You have to have a bachelor's. That's how Canada is. If you want a master's, then maybe you go to the UK. But in Canada, you need a bachelor's. So someone is asking, it's difficult to find schools. No, it's not. It's not difficult if you have the JAPA system and you actually are using it. It's not difficult. Oh, don't kill me. This person is asking, can we pay for the JAPA system? Who is this? Felix. Felix Barton, can we pay for it? From Ghana, I'm sure. Can we pay for the JAPA system bit by bit? No, now. If you go to the market and you want to buy pepper, can you pay the woman bit by bit? No, you can't. It's advisable that you actually do save up for the JAPA system. Okay, so someone says, apart from the study route, what other routes could be used to get the visa? So if you go back and listen to the replay, you will hear where I talked about other routes that are available for you. Yeah. So someone says, who is this? JetLinks. I'm going to pin the message up. We still have a few more questions. How can I come to Canada through professional program or study that's not an undergraduate or a master's? I really don't understand what you mean by professional program, but in Canada, if you're looking at becoming a permanent resident using the study route, you have to come with an academic program, okay? So not a vocational program. And I don't know what you mean by professional program, unfortunately. So, but I know it has to be an academic program. So if you say professional academic program, so the answer is yes. Can my stepdaughter accompany me when I'm coming to Canada? So if it's your stepdaughter, what is a stepdaughter? So maybe a child of your spouse. Yes, they can accompany you with the permission of their parents. So the other parent has to give you permission, and you have to actually have the you have to actually be legally possible for you to come with them. I have a third class in economics. Can I go for a PhD? You're not even asking if you can go for masters. You want to go for a PhD? No, I'm sorry. Even in Nigeria, you cannot go for a PhD with a third class. So I'm trying to look at questions. So must a scholarship be meant for students with exceptional grades like first class or distinction? Now, that's a great question. Now, I'm sure it's a question that you already know the answer, Julius edits. So there are so many. So even if it's like in Nigeria, we have this NNPC scholarships, we have Total. A lot of these companies have scholarships that they give to people. Who do they give it to? Is it not competition? They give it to those who have the highest grades. Do you understand? Any scholarship does that. Scholarship is not for everybody. Scholarship is rewarding people who have worked hard. So yes, you have to have great grades for you to get scholarship. So someone is asking, is there any school offering vocational program in Canada? Ibikunle or Olua. So I've picked it up. There are schools offering vocational programs in Canada, but it's not for you as an international student. So you should be looking at universities or colleges, not vocational school. Yeah, it's not for you. Okay. Can I come with a baby of 8 months? Yes. So I recently posted an approval for a mom that's coming. Her baby is about 8 months, about 9 months, and she and her baby got approval. Yeah, so you can come with a baby that is 8 months. Nobody can convert anything. Someone saying, "Can I convert Abike?" What do you mean? Can you convert? Can you convert your master's to a related PhD program? I don't understand that question, but I don't think you can convert anything. Age limit. So you need to go and look exotic shop. Were you here when I was doing the program, when I was doing the presentation? Maybe go and look at the replay. So you will not be asking this question. Can I do a bachelor's in Canada? So on social media, I answer a lot of these questions, and I do this every day. Can I do a bachelor's in Canada after a bachelor's and a postgrad? Why do you want to do a bachelor's after a bachelor's? What is the progress there? How is it going to help your career? Do you understand? Is your employer going to give you promotion because you did another bachelor's? You better do a graduate program. That's all I can say. He who has ears. So I don't know what you mean by short course. Glorious is asking, does the Canada JAPA system address studying through short courses. So we concentrate on programs that can get you a post-graduation work permit and that can eventually get you permanent residence. A short course will not get you any of that. So no, I guess. So if your program is less than 8 months, you do not qualify for post-graduation work permits. So don't ask me which one is better, or I don't know. Someone is asking, I don't want to make a judgment here. What's the implication? What's the implication? Let me, who is asking this? Solo the king. What's the implication of giving birth in Canada as a student? No implications, absolutely none. Your child will be a Canadian citizen, that's all. There's no implication. You can give birth. You don't even have to pay any hospital bill because you have insurance. If you're, depending on your province, if you're under like the provincial insurance, you don't even have to pay anything, and your child will be a Canadian citizen. So no implications there. Can I use my HND? I've already answered that. So when will applications for September of 2024 in colleges for diploma open? So one thing about when these applications open is that it differs for different schools. I can't tell you when. There are some schools I checked yesterday. There are certain programs for May of 2024 that are already filled up. It's closed. They are filled them up. So you need to be checking the school that you're interested in to see when they open up. And usually when I get the update that they've opened, I post it to the Canada JAPA students, yeah? So someone is asking, and this I think it's a good question, especially for those of us who want to get loans, and asking, do I need to submit proof of funds after getting Empower loan for my studies? If you look in the chat, I pinned up the question. It's from Caris and Helia. Okay, so recently, Empower for Canada has said that they are only going to be giving loans to cover your tuition. So Empower loans do no longer cover your living expenses. It only covers your tuition, yeah? So if you're taking a loan from Empower, you need to be able to provide proof of funds for your living expenses and for the living expenses of any dependents that is coming with you. Okay, I hope that answers that question. So after I get Everestus, some of you asked this guy because I know your name, Everestus in Dupwe. After getting the JAPA system, is there a supportive community of other fellow immigrants who also want to JAPA? So the reason we don't have that, and the reason why I don't have it, is because I know that there are people who provide wrong information to other people. Yeah, I don't want to put people together and they start getting wrong information. If you want support, we have a support system by email. You don't want to be in a group where people are providing information, half-baked information. Eventually, you turn around and blame Faye. Yeah, so we don't have, I don't offer that. Yeah, so if that's if it's a deal breaker for you, then maybe this is not for you. But we don't have that. But our email support is great, and you can always ask me questions. But to put you in a group with people who are going to lead you astray, no, we don't have that. So for how just talks, you're asking plenty questions. Can I go for a 1-year diploma after my master's? Why do you want to do that? Like, why? You can, actually, you can, but why? You can do it. You can do it. So you're asking me specific question. I'm not going to answer that. You can get the JAPA system, and if you have it, do send an email. Someone is asking about environmental. So it seems like I've answered all the normal questions. If you're asking me specific question about your own situation, I'm not going to be answering. I'm not going to be able to answer. I'm sorry. Someone says, Edwin, Ella, I'm pinning up that question. You're asking if someone with 2-1 qualify for fully funded scholarship. Yes, I would say yes and no, because not all programs have fully funded scholarships. Not all programs have funding. So there are some master's programs, even in health sciences, that don't offer funding. There are some schools that have certain programs that offer funding in some schools and not in other schools. That's why you need to do your research. This thing is a project, you understand? You need to check and see, does this school offer funding? And all that. Even with 7 to 10 years study gap, if you listened when I was giving the presentation, I said there are certain schools that are big on study gaps. If you have study gaps more than 5 years, they won't take you. Certain colleges, but there are so many other schools who don't give a damn whether you have study gap or not. So concentrate on the schools that don't care, and you can find that information on the school website. Don't be like people who apply and then they are refused for study gap and they start crying, but it was already there on the website that we don't take study gap. Okay. I don't know what you mean by Nuru Salawu. I don't know what you mean by affidavit of WAEC. Are you saying that you don't have WAEC certificate? They want WAEC certificate too. And scratch card. That's what you're asking. I'm not going to answer direct questions. I'm sorry, Aniefok Jackson. If just go through the webinar, the presentation or the recording, you would see answers to your question. Okay, so let me just see. I think I've answered a lot of the questions. Let me just ask the moderator if I've answered everything or everyone I'm supposed to answer, because there are lots of questions here I'm not going to answer because you're asking me specific questions. Rhoda, Tete, I have answered your question. Which of your questions have I not answered? You can't say, kindly attend to my 2 questions, and you didn't put the questions. What are the questions? I'm not going to advise about provinces here. You can apply to any province, but there are certain provinces that are easier to get permanent residence. You can get that in the JAPA system. Let's not waste too much time. You can get that in the JAPA system. Rhoda, what is your question? So if you want to know cheapest school in Canada with scholarship, I don't know what you mean by cheapest school with scholarship, but if you look through my YouTube channel, you would see schools. I have videos on schools with cheap tuition. It's there on this channel, so go through it. So how do you handle going there while pregnant and giving birth as a student? I mean, you made a decision, didn't you? If you are coming to Canada while you are a student, while pregnant, that means you know what you are coming to deal with. You cannot stop studying. That's all I can say. You can't stop studying. You have to continue studying. So you can't give an excuse that I gave birth. So you need to really think about it very well before you make that decision. So Rhoda, what is your question? You said your question wasn't answered, but I can't see your question here and I can't search for it. I'm sorry. So Emodi Jennifer, I'm going to pin up your question because I think it's important. So you're asking Emodi Jennifer is asking, can someone, if you look in the chat, you see pinned up, someone who doesn't have any published work get funding for thesis-based MSc from professor? So I got funding and trust me, I don't even have paper, talk of published work. I have nothing, but I did get funding. So it's not about your paper. It's about you being able to connect with that professor. That's why you have to study their research and be able to, they're going to have a Zoom call with you, and they're going to look at the way you talk about their research and your research and how there's that, how your research aligns with theirs. You understand? Once you're able to do that, they don't care whether you have paper or not. Which one be paper? Do you understand? Yeah. Don't have any paper. I got my funding and my professor has been on me to do PhD. I don't have any paper. I recently published a paper with her anyway and 2 other professors. I hope you've seen that my paper. Hey, the paper, no, we're not playing. We published a paper, but before I got my funding, I had no published paper. So don't worry. Even if you don't have funding, or if you don't have a published paper, you can still get funding. So when you say I didn't attend to your question, you have to write the question again because I have moved down. I can't see any question up. Okay. And there's so many people asking questions that I've already answered before. So I'm not going to be answering such questions. Thank you to Aisha for the commendation. If you have a question that hasn't been answered, I don't want to go back and I'm about to round up. So I have just 10 minutes. Put your questions again. I'm going to answer every question that you put now. Someone is asking, I saw a question now. Oh my goodness. Can I apply for both study and permanent residence simultaneously? Now, this is a good question. A lot of people ask it. So what I'm going to say is that if you want to apply for study, try the study first, okay? If your study works and you come to Canada, you can apply for permanent residence even while you're studying. There are people who get permanent residence while they are still studying. So you can actually apply for permanent residence while you're studying. There are people who are in the pool that study, and then while they are students, their permanent residence is approved. So yes, it is doable. Okay, can you get admission with 7 to 10 year study gap? Oh my goodness, I answered that question, Rhoda. I did. So please go back to the recording. I did answer it. So Form A, so if you're asking me about Form A, I don't know because I'm not a banker in Nigeria. If Form A takes time, then you have to explore other ways of paying your tuition, okay? Don't wait on Form A. It takes months. You can pay through other means that the school provides. Thank you, Hazel. Hazel says she does not regret getting the JAPA system, okay? Thank you so much. I know you don't regret it, and all the other people who have gotten their visas approved don't regret it, okay? I don't understand what you mean, Ganiat. Is it possible to get full funding, financial aid that is not based on academic merit? So, I mean, if you were a permanent resident, that's a different thing. They can give you funding for something else. But if you're an international student, your power is in your academic merit, okay? That's where your power lies. You have to, that's why if you're a student now, you have to do your best to do well in school so that when it comes to Canada study, you can hold your head high and be able to be confident to apply for scholarships and funding. There's really no need for WES, as far as I know. There's only just a handful of schools that ask for WES. So there's no need for WES. Okay, so you just submit your certificates. Are dependents allowed to look for jobs? So if you come with a child, this is a great question asked by Sunday Ayan Dokun. So if you come with your child cannot work in Canada. They are going to school. They are dependents to go to school. But your spouse has an open work permit. That's what they applied for. And they can work. If your spouse is here on a visit visa, they cannot work. Yeah. But your dependent cannot work. They are here to school. They can work. So can I use my OND to apply for a bachelor's? Yes. You can't get funding for your diploma. No. Go and watch the replay. Can a person having upper credit in HND? So these are the kind of specific questions that you should not be asking, or that you should go and watch the replay. Can a person having upper credit eligible or qualified to get a scholarship? So depends on the school you're applying to. I said scholarship in Canada is not one cap fits all. There are some schools that will give scholarship for certain things that other schools will not. But with an upper credit, yes, certain schools will give you a scholarship. But please note that scholarship doesn't cover your entire tuition. It's just something to help you. $10,000, 100,000 naira is equivalent to how much in Ghana? You can't do your calculations. I don't know. I'm not a bureau de change. I don't know how much it is. You can come with your family, the Jamba Samuel TV. Yes, you can come with your family. If you want to apply to a school, Monica Ashibogu, I've put up your question. If you want to apply to a school in Canada, you need your certificate and your transcript, okay? You cannot apply to a school in Canada with just your sorry about that, with just your certificate. So you need certificate and transcripts. You want to do it well and you want to do it right, okay? Like I said, I had 10 minutes. How much time has gone by? Okay, let me say I have 5 minutes now. So for those of you asking about funding and scholarship for 2-2, please go and watch the replay. I've answered that like 1 million times. Can you get a loan to pay for tuition? I don't understand this question. So I've answered the question about loans already, about getting a loan. So you can get a loan to pay for your tuition. Yes. A loan is a proof of funds. If it's a study loan, if it's a loan from a an organization that the visa officer can verify. It's not a loan from your friend. A loan from a friend is a different thing. Yeah. I don't understand this question. This is such a specific question, color space. I'm sorry, I won't be able to answer this here. So someone is asking this, which I'm going to pin up. It's from Edwin. Edwin Ella is asking, do schools in Canada accept payment of tuition fee instrumentally? So when you're in Canada, you pay your tuition fee every term. Yeah, you don't pay the entire year's tuition, you pay every term. So I see that you guys have a lot of questions. Please go and get the JAPA system. If you have the JAPA system, you can always send emails with these questions. If you're in a WhatsApp group from one of the affiliates, you can ask your questions there. They'll be able to provide answers. But if you get the JAPA system, you can always send us an email. I have 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. I'm not going to answer to rumors other than data. So I don't know. Someone is asking me, is scholarship available for Masters of Applied Computer Science? I don't know. I don't know. I don't say yes or no. I don't know. Do you understand? It might be, it might not be. It might be available in University of Saskatchewan. It might not be available at Brock University. So it depends on the school. I don't know any schools in Canada that don't give application fee. You can know 1 or 2, but most schools in Canada, you must pay the application fee. Now, those schools that you don't pay application fee, for example, Centennial College, getting admission there is a little bit competitive because they are not taking application fees. So you better go for a fee. So Centennial College, I'm giving you that for free, doesn't take application fees. Yeah. Okay, so I think I've answered all the questions that can be answered. Someone says, if your baby becomes a Canadian citizen, does that make you a Canadian citizen at all? Even if you marry a Canadian citizen, it still doesn't make you a Canadian citizen. Yeah. So if your baby is a Canadian citizen, Canada would care for the baby. If you want to go back, you can go, but the baby is a Canadian citizen. Their citizenship doesn't spill to you. Understand? So it doesn't. Oh my God. So if your spouse gets an open work permit in Canada, this is a great question. Can a spouse, the question is pinned in the chat, can a spouse who gets open work permit go to school? So your spouse cannot go to school while you're going to school. Your spouse is here on an open work permit. For them to go to school, they need a study permit. So they can't go to school. They can't go to school. They have to apply for study permits and they have to get it. They have to come into Canada to get a study permit. Yeah, they cannot stay in Canada and get it. My 5 minutes is up. We've talked for like, we started at 3. Let me just see. Can I apply with my family? I've answered this like 3 million times. Yes. Yes, I cannot give you any schools here. Go and get the JAPA system and you get the schools. So I talked about PNP and express entry on May 6th. Someone is asking, Olubi is asking when am I going to talk about PNP and express? About PNP May 6th. We had a webinar on PNP. If you look through my YouTube channel, you'll find it. And we're going to talk about express entry some other, maybe next month, but I have talked about it. So I do mix it. So I don't know, that would be if you can get scholarship with your OND distinction. Depends on what school you're going to and what program you can, but I'm not guaranteeing that you will, but you can. So let me ask if I've answered all the questions. What is the questions that I can answer? So we do our webinars once every month. This is the 2nd webinar we're doing in the month of May. So we did have a webinar May 6th. It was for Provincial Nominee Program. If you didn't see that webinar and you're interested in PNP, PNP is actually beginning to overtake the express entry in Canada in bringing in people, because a lot of the provinces want people to come to their province. So if you're interested in PNP, check in the live webinars. If you go to my YouTube channel, you would see the Provincial Nominee Program webinar that we did. You can educate yourself on what you need to do if you are interested in PNP. If you are a student in Canada and your spouse applies with you under the spousal open work permit, they can work while you study. I've seen quite a few questions. I'm just answering generally. They can work while you study, yeah, but your children cannot work. Your children will go to school for free, but they will only start school for free by the time they are 6 years old. Before they are 6, if they have to go to daycare, you are responsible for them. It's not a force. Is it by force to study in Canada before you get work? Samuel, how now? Who said that now? It's not by force. You don't even have to come and study here. Yeah, and you can get a job from outside of Canada. You can also come to Canada under any of the other routes, PNP, Express Entry, and then you don't have to study. Study is just one route, yeah? It's an easy route, but it's just one route. Okay, so I want to thank you all. So the Japan system is for school, it's for school to permanent residents. Using a loan for proof of funds and living expenses, is it okay? Samuel is asking, it is okay to use a loan for proof of funds and living expenses. But now the question is, what kind of loan is this? Is it a verifiable loan? Did you get it from, is it a study loan? Can the visa officer verify it? So those are all the nuances. So it's not just about, I got a loan. You got a loan from where? Do you understand? How did that? Is it a concurrent loan? There's so much questions that go into that getting a loan. Okay. So I think I've answered all the questions. So thank you, Eric. Very insightful presentation. I tried to make it insightful because I know you took out time from your busy schedule, you know, that your busy schedule to come here. So I'm very grateful to all of you for being here. If you have any questions and you're in maybe a WhatsApp group, you can ask the questions there. I'm sure a lot of them will open up the groups for you to ask questions. And then if you get the JAPA system, which I don't know why you won't get if you want to study in Canada, don't go and get any other program. This JAPA system is the way to go. So if you get it, you can ask your questions by email. You can ask as many questions as you want, and we answer all of them. So thank you for your time. And thank you, Remy Bambwe, for your commendation. I know there's so many commendations, I can't pin all of them. I can't say co-upload, sure be co-upload again. Thank you. I'm blessed because you are blessed. I'm always happy when people are happy with my webinar. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. There's lots of questions, but I know that if you take the time to watch the replay, a lot of these questions have been answered. So thank you very much. Go back to whoever invited you, ask them for the link to purchase, get the JAPA system, and then you can ask all your questions. I've answered all your questions. Thank you, Leah. I see you, Leah. Thank you. Jennifer, which question did you post that has not been answered? Okay, you have one chance, Jennifer Emodi. Post your question. I know your name. I've answered your question before. But if you have any question, I can answer it. Kike Lomo, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. The whole number of you that joined, those of us that dropped off, those of us that chatted, those of us that asked questions. I am very grateful. We'll have another webinar next month, probably on the Express Entry, and I'm hoping to see you there. But please, please don't let your Canada dream to die. If you really want to come to Canada, no matter how much life throws at you, no matter how much curveballs, no matter how much disappointment you get, just keep at it. How do you get the JAPA system? Go back to whoever invited you. I'm sure by now they have posted the link for you to purchase, and you can do that. So thank you very much, and good night, everybody. Have a lovely weekend as well. Bye.